like to start with the recall petitions. Mr. Piccarelli, are you present? Good afternoon, sir. And then do I have Ms. Warren? And then Mr. Shipley? Come on up, folks. So these are cause numbers 24-2126 and 24-2226. And I have had a chance to review everything, and I think we're as complete as we're going to get. And Ms. Warren, are you able to hear me? And Mr. Shipley, you don't, okay, you're good to go. And then Mr. Piccarelli, are you good to go? I am. All right. So Mr. Piccarelli was the petitioner, so I'll hear from him first. I'll give each one of you an opportunity to respond, and then I'll come back to final thought from him, and then you can address the challenge to your ability to bring this petition also in your presentation. So ready when you are.
Okay, so are we going to cover the administrative hearing that was conducted on the for the voter challenge?
No, that's part of the record. So there's a collateral proceeding now, and the auditor has determined that you're not an eligible voter of the city of Ione. So you can address whatever thoughts you have about your ability to bring this petition when you make your pitch to me.
Okay. All right, Your Honor. Pretty straightforward. Everything's in my petition. There was in the administrative hearing, there was a lot of false testimony given, which I have proof that the witness gave false statements.
Okay.
Some of those being. Go ahead and just get these out.
Well, that determination's not before me, and I can't. So I'm not going to.
But that's part of the record, correct?
That the findings of fact and conclusions, yes, but I have no ability to reverse that finding in this proceeding. So until that has been appealed and changed, that
can I get a continuance until we have an opportunity to appeal?
No, that could take months.
So you're saying you're denying me my right to appeal, correct?
I'm not denying appeal. I am not denying your right to appeal the auditor's determination. I am not going to wait 6 months to resolve this issue while that issue gets litigated. They're two completely separate issues.
And yet we waited to hear that administrative hearing to enter that into the facts, correct? For this right. So it's okay for the petitioners, for this court to wait for the petitioners, but not for me. That seems like it's not really fair and equitable treatment of the law.
All right. So let's move forward. I'm not going to continue this out again so that appeal can get litigated because as far as I know, nothing's been filed. So what is your position on your ability to bring this?
But at the time that this was filed, I was a legal registered voter when it came to this court originally.
Okay.
And the second time, as a legally registered voter, this court decided to sit and wait until I wasn't a registered voter in hopes I wouldn't be a registered voter on an administrative hearing. So the fact that this court the fact that this court chose to wait, even though the recall petition should have gone through, is absurd. And just if I'm not making myself clear, which I may not be, a little nervous today. So it would be like if I came to this court and I had a driving on suspension ticket, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I have a valid license, had a valid license when I got pulled over. Then that should be the end of it. It's kind of the same thing with this recall petition, but instead you just said, well, let's just wait to the future and hope that his license is suspended, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And so now we're coming back. So it seems like this case is being worked backwards.
Okay. But let's assume that you are a legal, because I have not made that determination, that you lack standing. And that is part of the analysis that I'll engage in. But let's assume for purposes of today that you are a valid individual that can bring this petition. What's the basis to allow this to go forward?
Well, because are we talking about both or are we going case by case?
No, we can start. So if I understand correctly.
Do you want to do Warren's case first or do you want to do Shipley's case first?
We can start with Ms. Warren. So my understanding is that the issue with Ms. Warren is that she directed the city clerk to send the email to the 4 other sitting council members asking for some sort of discussion about the building that was being sold, correct?
That is correct. And just really quick, we had a motion to dismiss earlier. Are we just going to forego that or?
Which motion?
Michael Shipley filed a motion to dismiss, I believe.
I'm proceeding and we're going to litigate everything now. And I think the motion to dismiss is based on your inability to bring this action.
Okay. Well, yeah, pretty straightforward. She violated the OPMA, just states within the petition in and of itself, by having a secret meeting, an unlawful meeting, outside of the view of the public, asking for that vote and then getting that vote and then coming to that determination later. Later hearing.
And so
Everything's within the petition.
that's the extent of what we have for Ms. Warren.
Right.
Okay. What about Mr. Shipley?
Mr. Shipley participated. Everything's within that petition.
No, I've read the petition. Do you want to supplement any kind of additional argument there?
Well, other than the fact that they entered fraudulent evidence, which you don't want to hear today.
Did Mr. Shipley, do you have any evidence that Mr. Shipley responded to the email?
No, I don't.
And so,
other than he voted in it, but like it says in the petition, a vote isn't required for action to take place.
correct.
Right. So he wouldn't have had to vote anyway.
But the vote ultimately occurred in an open public meeting, correct?
The vote happened in a secret meeting, and then they had it in another meeting. Even according to Warren's statement, she said she talked to her lawyer approximately a few days later. She didn't specify the exact date, and even her counsel said that was unlawful to do. So just because she tried to get the vote and didn't get the vote, and then her lawyer said she couldn't do it, doesn't mean she didn't break the law when she did do it. It'd be like robbing a bank and then saying, "Oh, well, I didn't break the law because I didn't get away with the money." It's the same concept here.
Okay, so if I'm tracking this correctly, your position is that the email went out, that there was some sort of secret meeting in the interim, and then everything was again blessed again at the open public meeting for city council.
Right, it was already decided. And before the actual meeting took place, the open meeting.
What evidence do we have that there was this secret meeting between when the email went out and then the meeting with city council?
The email in and of itself is the meeting.
Okay. So the sending of the email by Ms. Warren is the meeting.
Right, because it was sent to all members of the council.
Correct.
Right, and that constitutes a quorum. And then they asked them to vote within that quorum to come to to make an action or come to a conclusion. Right?
Right.
And they cast a vote, and she asked for a vote and a decision.
Okay.
Right, which right there is unlawful. You just can't do that.
But there's no evidence that Mr. Shipley ever responded, correct?
Mr. Shipley? No, but he didn't object to any of it either. He just went right along with it. Okay. And then in the next meeting, he voted yes for it. Right?
Right.
So they already have that decision made. Like I said, a vote doesn't have to take place for action to occur or for a conclusion to have been formed and acted upon. And that's what happened clearly, because she asked for the vote. She didn't get the vote. When she went to her lawyer to try to pass it, her lawyer said, "Nope, can't do it. Try it again." And then she went over to the open meeting and tried to do it again.
Okay. All right. Anything either on either one of theirs, Mr. Piccarelli?
Excuse me? Any
other arguments that you have?
Other than all the evidence that you got so far as me, being dismissed, I don't even know we're at that level yet, is erroneous.
Okay.
Unsubstantiated hearsay.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Warren, is there anything that you'd like me to consider?
Yeah, Mr. Piccarelli did receive the papers that I filed with the court that showed that June 7th council meeting, the lowering of the property was discussed then. It was on the agenda and discussed. And I had got the information that one of the council members had requested, and I sent that out. Then when I sent it out within hours, Mr. Shipley was in my office, and he said, "We can't vote through without it being a public meeting." And I said, "Okay, we're not going to accept anything from this day forward." And we voted on it the next council meeting.
Okay. And so as far as you know, so I want to make sure that I've got it correctly. The email was sent out by the city clerk.
Yeah.
And then I have you did get two responses. One of them was, I think it was something to the effect of "fine by me." Yeah. And the other one was that, no, this should wait for a meeting.
Correct.
But if I understand also correctly, those responses did not go to the entire group. They just were sent back to Pollyanna.
No, they were sent back to me, to me and Sandy, our clerk at the time. We were the only ones that ever seen any response.
But there was no cross communication between council members.
There was not.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Was there anything else, ma'am, that you wanted me to consider?
No, that was it, because that's pertinent to the whole thing. And he was unaware of the conversation that happened in my office. Mr. Piccarelli was. So, yeah.
Okay.
And it's only, it was a mistake. Being mayor's new to me. I'm going on my third year. Okay. So I'm still learning. So.
All right, Mr. Shipley, anything else that you want to add to this discussion or the timeline or anything?
I think you've got all the facts pretty clear. It just seems odd to me that to not respond to an email puts me in a secret meeting. And I think that does make sense to me. So I trust your judgment.
All right, thank you, sir. So, Mr. Piccarelli, any kind of final thoughts here?
Well, in summary, the law was broken. That simple. And they knew they were breaking the law. They were all well versed in the OPMA and public records, or no, sorry, the OPMA. They knew what they were doing was wrong, and they chose to do it anyway. They chose to circumvent the actual legal process and making these decisions. As I explained in my petition, I feel like the introduction, it talks about the legislation's intent, right? And like you said, you've already gone over it, but the intent of legislation was to have these meetings open to the public, so there's no backroom dealing, so everybody knows what's going on here. So they knew that they were breaking the law, and they chose to break it anyway. As far as Mr. Shipley not responding or how that, that may affect him or whatever, Sharon Shipley, another council person, she answered correctly. She said, I'm not going to touch this until the next meeting. And that's what should have been done.
Okay.
And they knew that should have been done. But instead, and not only did they have that email, then they went out, they had another meeting in her office. She just said so, just had another meeting outside the public view on the same thing that they already talked about in the emails. This just continually happens over and over.
Okay. Anything further?
No.
All right. So this is a important issue. I think it's been complicated a little bit by the challenge to Mr. Piccarelli's voter status. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to take this under advisement, and then I will send out a decision to the parties in the next few weeks. Basically, I want to look at everything over one more time, take another look at all of the law that implements the OPMA and everything, how it's been interpreted, and then whatever service address that we had in the court files, that's where I'll have court administration send out the decision when it's been rendered. All right. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.